This is my channel. My name is Jacob, and today I'm going to be filming a little video on how I gained 50 to 60 pounds in about a few years. How I went from a little Twinkie stick to a diesel fuel truck in the past a little bit of years. So it's going to be a little bit longer video. It's going to be information packed. Make sure you have your little notepad out, whatever. Make sure you're tuning in. I know your attention spans are fried from TikTok and whatnot, but make sure you're kind of tuning in a little bit. It's going to be like 30 to 40 minutes, kind of more raw, more uncut. And just kind of tune in. I hope I can, you can take something away from this. And I want to, pack in as much information as I can into this video and kind of go over my journey and then how I did it. So without further ado, let's get right into it here, shall we? So right here, I got my micro board pulled up, if you can see. Very visual, very easy to understand, and just kind of walking you through the journey here a little bit. So, a little background here. So this is me right here, first photo, as you can see. And by the way, if I'm looking back at the screen and looking over here, the camera's here. I have another monitor here that I'm kind of looking at, so kind of bear with me. So over here, I was around 120 pounds, and I wasn't like 14, 15, or 16 in this photo or anything. I was literally like 18, 19 years old, so I was already literally like a grown adult, essentially. So, again, super, super skinny. I was like 120 pounds at around 5'11", 6 foot already, so very, very, very small, as you can tell. And this is about, I was already working out for like a month or two in this photo probably, so again, even skinnier before, low-key. So, and then here we got 4 to 6 months of working out here. So as you can tell, I'm starting to pack on a little bit more muscle. But I mean, still being fairly skinny here. So again, very skinny still, but a little bit more muscle. Again, not crazy progress, honestly. I'd say, some would say very little progress for 4 to 6 months, and maybe it was a little bit less. Maybe it was like, maybe some of these photos were still 3-4 months actually. It's kind of hard to date back, but not the craziest progress or anything. And then 1 year in, you can finally tell that I'm starting to get, definitely some mass here. This is like a no pump photo. Obviously getting some veins now. It's starting to build out a little bit. You can tell that I'm starting to get a little bit of muscle mass finally. Starting to put some meat on the bone. So yeah, not too bad. Progress is still not insane though or anything, not crazy. And then finally here, we're starting to get into that 1.5 to 2 year mark. Again, starting to fill out a little bit more. This is like kind of during even COVID still, I guess. Starting to put on a little bit more mass, starting to get a little thicker, a little bit bigger. Finally starting to get even more mass here, as you can tell. So definitely starting to get, starting to see some more progress, which is great. Again, nothing crazy though still. And this is kind of where I decided to go on a bit of a bigger, deeper, heavier, dirtier bulk here. So this is kind of where I'm weighing right here. This is around year 3. I'm weighing around 200, 205 even in this, so I was like around 165, maybe 170 in these photos right here. And then I kind of literally went on like a 30-pound bulk for gain here. So definitely you can tell that I packed on some good amount of fat here, looking a little chubsky here. Obviously, got some fat, but definitely put on a lot of muscle in this bulk, I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was looking crazy, but pretty fat in general in these photos here. But so I put on a good amount of fat, but I definitely got a lot stronger. Definitely kind of filled out, got what I wanted out of the bulk, so that was really cool. And then here around 3.5 to 4 years, I went on a cut again, and that's where I started looking pretty solid here again. Probably weighing around 175 to 185 in these photos. Again, starting to look fairly good, looking leaner, looking a lot more cut, more defined. The lines are coming out, some of the structure's coming out, looking fairly good. Again, pretty solid already, right? So fairly solid there. And then we're jumping around another, year and a half. This is around 4.5 to 5 years in. Again, put on some more mass even, a little bit more mass here. Again, she got stronger, and then this is around 190 pounds, 185, 190 pounds there. So again, very, nothing crazy. You would say this is fairly crazy progress, but it's not absolutely insane. And I don't think I have the craziest genetics in the world, and then, or anything like that. I just have alright insertions. And then 6 to 7 years is still to be determined here. So we'll kind of see where this takes us in the next year here. And it's probably going to be my best physique, leanest, strongest I've ever been in my life. And if you guys don't believe me though, or anything like that, I actually have some MyFitnessPal photos here. So This is actually when I started using it at 1 year after I already started working out. So as you can see, 147 and up to 190, that's 46 pounds. And then here's some dates for you as well, so you can see, again, fairly simple, and then slowly going up in weight over here over the coming months and whatnot. So yeah, there's just kind of like a simple visual breakdown of just my journey and some pictures, and then kind of just going over that here. And actually, I'm just going to hop into a quick presentation that I have set up here. Starting off strong here with nutrition equals growth. So we're going to start off with nutrition here. So first of all, for me personally, right, so I was very, very skinny when I was younger, very small, very frail. So one of the biggest mistakes that I was doing too when I started working out, obviously I didn't take my nutrition very seriously, but I thought I was eating enough. I said I'm full, I feel like I'm eating enough food. Little did I know, that's what hindered my progress, and I actually wasn't eating enough. So one of the biggest things I can recommend to anyone starting to working out, whether that's you're trying to lose weight or whether you're trying to gain weight, it would be to get MyFitnessPal, get a weight scale, and track all your food. It's going to become very routine based, very easy over time. And you're going to just want to know what you're eating, because if you're not eating enough food, you won't be getting enough weight, and vice versa. If you think you're eating less than you are, you'll be you won't be losing weight. So biggest thing is just making sure you're getting MyFitnessPal and tracking your calories. Next thing, so protein, right? So most people say the 1 gram per pound body weight. I'd say that's a fairly good assumption. I would stick to that. Anywhere from 0.8 grams to around 1.2 grams per pound of body weight would be a solid foundation for your protein goals here. Again, not very, very simple. I'm sure you've heard that already before. I kind of went through this is like the cycle I kind of went through. So I went through trying to just eat as much as I can. I wasn't eating enough to eating more. Where I was eating and then kind of to a dirty bulk, almost a more dirtier bulk, where I gained most of my weight, and then I kind of went through a cut and a lean kind of main gain after that. So that's kind of the strategy I followed. Everyone's kind of different in their goals, whether you're kind of fattier and you're trying to lose weight and then trying to get a lean bulk a little bit, main gain, whether you're skinny and trying to gain weight like me. It just kind of going to depend on what your goals are and what you're trying to do. Here's a little bit of a graph that I have. Kind of ignore the numbers on the left. They don't really make sense. But this is kind of a graph of kind of how I was showing you how kind of your growth is going to be probably as far as weight gain goes if you're trying to weight gain, and vice versa if you're trying to lose weight. So yeah, it's kind of like a fairly linear, slow progression. And that's how it's going to be for the most part. Again, you can't grow without an empty tank. So making sure you fuel your body with the right foods, the right nutrition is very important. Personally, now these days I've been doing a more animal-based diet where I've been doing kind of just mainly 85-15, 80-20 ground beef, white rice, fruit, honey, a little bit of vegetables, but that's kind of my diet because consisting of recently. Before, when I was first starting to bulk up and I was just trying to gain as much weight as possible, I was definitely a little bit dirtier. I was doing peanut butter, shakes. I had peanut butter in there, oatmeal, whole milk. I mean, I still drink whole milk, but whole milk, heavier calorie foods. Even I had some waffles with Nutella sometimes. I mean, it was a little bit rough, just kind of getting whatever I can to get some calories in. And that's not a bad strategy if you are very skinny, if you're very, small, and you're just trying to see some quick weight gain and a little bit of quicker progress. You could go that way, and I still recommend it. I did that myself, and, you could still go ahead and do that to see some quicker progress. But definitely once you get that initial little bit of weight gain, I would definitely start looking into going more animal-based, focusing on those whole foods, and you can get the best nutrition possible. Obviously, you're still going to be eating whole foods with a little bit of a dirtier bulk still. But I would still stick away from, soda, processed sugars, stuff like that. By dirty bulk, I don't mean going to McDonald's every day and doing all that. I mean, you could, feel free to, but again, it's going to be a waste of money. I would just recommend, again, sticking to some of those other foods like peanut butter, this and that. You have Nutella here and there with a waffle, oatmeal. I mean, oatmeal's not even dirty, but some of those foods, chocolate milk, whatever. But I would stick away from drinking a whole lot of soda or something. It's just gonna ruin your immune system. It's not really great for your body. It's got a bunch of other stuff in there, colorings, whatever. I would stay away from that. But I would, mostly if I would recommend, just stick to whole foods and you'll be good. And that's gonna give you probably the best testosterone optimizations, also as well as your just energy, drive, and just kind of building muscle, I'd say, is the whole foods route. So I would stick to that. So that's pretty much as far as nutrition is it pretty much covers that. I would keep it very simple. A lot of people want to overcomplicate things. You don't need to overcomplicate anything. Literally, just stick to a pound of body weight of your protein, and just stick to some whole foods. If you're skinnier, throw in some peanut butter. If you want, throw in a shake oatmeal, that's fine. It's okay. And if you're trying to lose weight, vice versa, throw away a little bit of food, have some leaner foods. But don't be, just stick to like a whole food diet, and you'll be good to go. Really, there's not much more to it other than that. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. So that's as far as nutrition. That's literally what I do. That's what I've been doing, and that kind of covers that as in a 5-minute span. It doesn't have to be complicated. All right. Going on to supplements here. What I use, what I currently use, what I don't recommend using, and what I recommend staying away from. So what's helped me here in the past, in the future, what I'm currently doing. I still take creatine. I started taking creatine about 4 or 5 years ago. It's one of the most researched supplements out there. I recommend it to this day. And not only if you're not working out, it's great for your for your brain functions and whatnot. It's gonna help prevent like Alzheimer's and stuff. So literally, just take 5 grams of creatine a day, maybe a little bit more if you're heavier, and just make sure you're drinking water. Again, creatine's found in regular food. It's the most studied supplement. It's the best supplement on the market, most research, and I would just take it every day. Don't worry about it. Have it next to your nightstand. I just take creatine monohydrate, unflavored. I literally just dry scoop it. You can throw it in water, whatever works for you. The next supplement that I would take would be whey protein. You could take any sort of protein if you wanted to get a quicker on-the-go protein. If you want to throw it in the shake, that's fine. Usually these days, I don't even use protein that much. I just get all my protein from like Whole Foods, and I get enough of it. It's fairly easy to hit while you're eating, fairly like a ground beef, chicken, whatever. It's like fairly easy to hit your protein goals. So unless you're in a rush or you're kind of, doing shakes and whatnot, you don't really gotta be doing whey protein. But whey protein is a supplement that I did use in the past, and it can be very helpful to some people and some individuals. So I would recommend it. Next one, we have vitamin D. So a lot of people, especially during the winter time, are very deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important in controlling your hormone levels, testosterone optimization, everything, your bone structure, like density, everything. Literally, vitamin D is very important and vital vitamin in your body. So you're gonna make sure that you're getting enough of it. You can even get a test on you to see if you're deficient in it or not. But again, I would take anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 IUs a day, especially in the wintertime. If you're in the summertime, trying to get a little bit of sun outside and kind of get your vitamin D that way. So very, very, very important supplement. I would definitely recommend it. Next supplement that I take every day, and I still take before, magnesium glycinate. Very great. Take it right before bed. Kind of makes you calm down, kind of calms you down before you go to bed, relaxes your mind a little bit so you can sleep a little bit, you can kind of fall asleep a little bit easier and kind of hit that deep sleep a little bit better. So again, very important supplement. A lot of people are also deficient in magnesium, so go ahead and look into that as well. The next thing, caffeine. Obviously, I'm actually drinking a little Ghost right here. It's got some BS in here as well, like sucralose, whatnot. But again, caffeine, take that in moderation. I would say, again, 200 to 400 milligrams. I usually keep it under 200 and under. And then I wouldn't take it after 2 p.m. It could disrupt your circadian rhythm, your sleep schedule, whatnot. So again, caffeine's great for some people. Again, a lot of people have very busy schedules, busy work lives, and caffeine can be a good supplement. I guess even considered a kind of a drug, but to take, and it can help you out in those scenarios. So I'd rather take it than not, take it and go work out and do something, whether not taking it and not going to work out. So it's definitely a tool there for you to use. I would recommend probably being over 18 when you're taking it, but yeah, it's a great tool to have there, so in your tool belt. Now, some things I would not recommend and I wouldn't do and I didn't do myself. First thing, fat burners. It's just a caffeine pill. You really don't need you're wasting your money. I really wouldn't recommend unless it's something, whatever. I really wouldn't recommend them though. I just say stick to a calorie deficit and, doing some cardio. That's going to be way better than any of the fat burner pills that you're going to be purchasing on the market. So don't recommend those. Waste of money. And then like some crazy cheap multivitamins, I really wouldn't do them. Again, you get most of your vitamins through Whole Foods, through a whole balanced diet. You could do, they usually have like a way more daily value than you even need, so you're overdoing it in your body. Like I just really wouldn't do it unless you actually have your doctor recommend something specifically and you're gonna do it and you kind of need it, or for certain cases, whatever. But for the most part, those cheap multivitamins I would mostly stay away from. And then avoid obviously steroids, SARMs, BS, anything like that, anything you're trying to put in your body that's exogenous. You don't need it. Stay natural, stay consistent. Results will come. It's very easy, very tempting to at first hop on something and just do it. But in reality, you really just don't need it. Just stay natural. You can get very big. You'll appeal to the female gaze very easy. And if you are a female, then obviously that's pretty self-explanatory. But it's not hard. Just you're gonna get bigger over time. No need to rush it. There's no need to try to potentially cause any sort of harm to your health or your internal organs. Going to age you quicker. There's no point of doing all that. So again, I would avoid all that at all costs, and especially if you're a beginner and you're just getting into lifting. I'm sure some of you probably are. So yeah, those are some supplements that I did use and I would avoid. Again, fairly simple. You don't gotta overcomplicate anything. That's an easy as that. So let's see what else we have here. So we're gonna move on. Now recovery and sleep, right? Underrated weapon. Very little talked about in the fitness industry mostly. Again, very important when you're trying to gain muscle and you're trying to recover. So what I recommend is sleeping at least 7 to 9 hours a night consistently, and you're trying to hit that every single day. Don't have one night you're up all night, one night you're sleeping good, and it's not going to work that way because of your circadian rhythm. It's not going to allow you to do that. So what you're gonna want to do is find a schedule that works for you. You want to stick to it as far as sleeping goes too. Waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time. It's going to be very important for kind of monitoring that circadian rhythm and having that having that schedule and that flow for your day-to-day activities. So again, making sure you're getting your sleep is very important. Again, training, not 4 to 5 days a week, not 7, not overtraining. Your body needs to recover. Your cortisol is very stressed up if you're always working out, lifting heavy weight. That's gonna kind of keep you in a very stressed kind of body, and it can lower your testosterone. It can do some other things to your body. It can cause anxiety. So I would just kind of stick to training 4 to 5 days a week, really. That's what I would recommend as a sweet spot. Making sure you're training hard. You're not, making sure you're training hard and not doing some junk volume and whatnot. So also prioritize recovery more. You can do sauna, you can do stretching, light cardio on days off especially. Just kind of active rest is what I like to call them, and a lot of people refer to them as that as well. So again, make sure you're just doing some, your off days, some light cardio and whatnot, and recovering with sauna. Sauna is great. I do it probably 4 or 5 times a week if I can. If the gym has a sauna, I would definitely do it. So that's another great way of doing recovery. Also, when I stopped overtraining, like I said, no junk volume. Try to avoid junk volume. If you're a beginner, you can do a little bit more volume. But I would still say, train hard. Train in anywhere from the 6 to 8 rep range, 6 to 10 rep range for like 2 to 3 sets, and you go to failure. Probably at least the last set for sure. And don't overtrain, guys. There's no point of doing 5 sets of 10. 6 sets of 10, you're doing cardio at that point, that you're just overtraining, you're just completely destroying your muscles, and there's no point of doing that. Do anywhere from 2 to 3 sets, go hard in the first 2 sets, last set take it to failure. Again, train hard, and then you don't need to be doing all that. So again, another tip here for when you're sleeping, like I mentioned before, taking magnesium before you go to bed. That's going to help you kind of calm your mind down, kind of relax you. It's going to make it a little bit easier for you to fall asleep. Also, make sure you can get some blue light glasses. I actually have some. I'm not sure where they are. I usually have them over here, but they're the ones with the orange filter. Actually, I would recommend instead of the clear ones. They usually block out more of the blue light. So go ahead and cop those for yourself. Try to avoid blue light when you're trying to go to bed at least an hour or 2 before. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to fall asleep and get some of that deeper sleep, REM sleep, and your mind's not scattering and trying to think of a bunch of different things. So yeah, I would recommend that. Again, caffeine too, making sure you're not taking that, later than 2-3 p.m. Because the caffeine half-life is like 12 hours. So even before you go to bed, you don't want to have a lot of caffeine in your system. It's going to be harder for you to fall asleep and harder for you to hit that deep sleep. So those are my tips for sleeping, what I've learned over the past few years of me just trying to work out and dial in my sleep. Again, not anything crazy, overcomplicated. You don't have to be taking this and this and that, whatever. Like, just make it simple. Follow a routine. Make sure you're following your circadian rhythm. You're waking up, maybe getting some sunlight in your eyes, going outside, maybe grounding, walking around, there's some grass, whatever. But yeah, it's not too complicated, guys. Make simple is usually better. So that's kind of my sleep and recovery routine when I do to this day, and I did before. So let's move on here real quick. So now we got challenges, roadblocks, and just mentality. So What nearly killed my progress here, injuries, and that's spelled wrong, sorry about that, but injuries, rushing, PRs, ego lifting, stuff like that. You never want to be lifting more weight than you can, really, right? So whatever you can do with a nice slow descend and you ascend, and you're not killing, you're completely tweaking your shoulder, your arm, whatever, your elbow. You're not doing all that. That's a good weight for you to stick at that. You don't want to be ego lifting. Ego lifting often leads to injuries and stuff. So another thing I would say is plateaus. Just not changing your split or diet often enough. So for example, if you're trying to gain weight and you're tracking your food and you're staying at the same calories, and you're not gaining weight, well, obviously, people ask me all the time, like, Jacob, how'd you gain so much weight? Well, it wasn't just from sitting there and not changing anything. It was progressively adding more food, more calories into my diet so it can actually get up in weight, and vice versa if you're trying to lose weight, lower calories, more cardio, whatever the case may be. It's very simple. Again, you don't have to overcomplicate anything. So, again, making sure you're on your plateaus, making sure that needle's going forward, and whatever you're trying to do and you're actually achieving it. So I would say that mental blocks, obviously impatience, comparisons, very easy in today's age. Social media is out there. You see so many people's physiques, and you see 1% of people posting, blowing up and stuff, and usually that's not the case. Most people, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own goals. Everyone's got their own genetics and stuff. So don't compare anyone to anyone but yourself. You're the only person you should be comparing yourself to, because nothing else matters, right? It's you versus you, and you shouldn't be on social media brain rotting and looking at 1% physiques. It doesn't matter. It should only be to yourself. So, and also being impatient, right? We're this day and age, we like to scroll. We're very impatient. Our attention span is very little, so we like to do all those things, and that could lead to potentially you being impatient, potentially going on to looking at steroids and whatnot. But just literally staying consistent and working, and then setting goals for yourself is what's going to achieve your dream physique sooner than later. Now, another thing, adaptability and education, continually trying to learn something from other people. There's always more you can learn and adapt to as far as your training goes, and figuring things out and making sure you can get more locked in and being better at whatever you're trying to do. And then the biggest thing for me, really, and for yourself probably, is also asking your why. Why are you training? Why are you wanting to do this? Is it just for your health? Is it for your confidence? Is it for mental health as well, which is really important for a lot of people? It's helped me for sure too. Being in the gym, gym's a great spot to just kind of let off some steam, be in your own zone. You're not really thinking about much other than just you and the weights that you're lifting, and you're kind of just there for a lot of different reasons. So for me personally, obviously it was also because I was very skinny. I was kind of not bullied necessarily, but I few people, there's been a few scenarios and whatnot, but it kind of gets in you, it kind of gets in your head, and you feel very, when you're very skinny, it kind of gets to you as well. You got a toothpick arms, blah, blah, blah. The thing goes on. So making sure whatever that why is, for me, it was just trying to gain more muscle, getting bigger, getting stronger, and that in turn kind of came to give me more confidence in my other everyday life and doing whatever else I wanted to do. So making sure you find that why, whatever that is, go ahead and stick to that, keep that, throw it in the back of your head and have it there, and literally just stick to that and keep telling yourself that, and that's what's going to get you to the next point. So keep that why. It's very important to have that there. So that's kind of a quick rundown, and fairly simple, and again, rundown of roadblocks and mentality, and that's what I would kind of stick to if you're trying to achieve those fitness goals and or any other goals you have as well. So let's go ahead and move on here. So we're gonna kind of move on to my split and my workout routine here. So I do push pull legs, and I still do push pull legs. I experimented with Arnold a little bit, but again, just play around, see what works best for you. For me personally, a push pull leg split works very well. It's been great. It makes a lot of sense because none of the muscles contradict each other on any of the days. Again, it's been proven time and time again. A lot of bodybuilders do it before, and they still do them now. So any split really works though. I like to push pull legs. It's been working very well, and it's very simple. So usually I'll rest twice a week at least. It'll either be Thursday and Sunday. Thursday and Saturday, and then Sunday is always a rest day. It's for the Lord. I make sure I just, do whatever else I want to do. Just chill, hang out, do whatever I want to do on that Sunday. But, again, make sure you're prioritizing your rest days here. Again, you can choose whatever rest days work best for you and for your situation, whether you're working at a night shift, this and that, whatever. Everyone's got different schedules. So figure out what that is for you. Again, prioritize slowing down movements, keeping that form good over your ego, like I was saying before. It'll give you more hypertrophy, and hypertrophy equals more gains over time and less injuries. Again, you want that. You don't want to get injured. You don't want to, get your shoulder messed up, this and that. It's gonna set you back months of progress versus actually following it right, doing it right, and actually doing it the right way. And like I said, hypertrophy, and it's gonna give you more gains over time, whether being out of the gym and being hurt. So go ahead and make sure you're doing that and focusing on that. And then the biggest thing also is focusing on progressive overload. So you're actually adding weight to your lifts over time is essentially what it means. So, for example, if I'm benching 135 pounds currently, and I can do that for 5 sets of 3, in about a week and a half or 2 weeks, I want to be able to increase that to 140 pounds and then do that for 5 sets of 3, or rep it up for as much as I can for those 5 sets of 3 that I want to hit. And then next, and another 2 weeks or whatever, I want to be able to do 145 maybe for 5 sets of 3, and then 150, and then 155. And then 160. So you're just going up in weight over time, essentially, is what progressive overload means. And that's the same thing for doing either a rope pull down, and you can adjust, trying to add more weight, doing dumbbell curls, lateral raises, lat pull downs, rows, whatever you're doing, you're just trying to add more weight over time. It's as simple as that, right? That's going to give you more gains as well. So, and then for me, personally, I did compounds at first when I was starting out, doing, incline bench, squat, deadlift. Those are some big compound movements, and they can definitely build mass in your physique. I don't really deadlift as much as I did anymore, or really at all much right now, but it could be an interesting movement for you as far as you're being careful and actually working on your form. So again, sometimes you might want to start off with other things like the hammer strength machines, maybe some curling machines or whatever. It can help you feel the muscle contracting a little bit better, which could be nice, and kind of transform into those compound lifts and making sure you can feel them, your muscle working during those lifts as well. So again, as far as losing weight, it goes, more cardio, and then gaining weight's less cardio. So if you're doing cardio, kind of keep that in mind. Don't be, if you're trying to gain weight, don't be running marathons every, couple months, or every month, or doing excessive cardio, like 50 minutes for doing that. Like, unless your sport requires it or something, like, I wouldn't be doing that if you're truly trying to gain weight. Obviously, you'd be doing cardio, just not excessive amounts of it. And if you are losing more weight, then if you're trying to lose weight, then you can obviously do cardio, and it's good to do that. So very simple. Again, my workout splits, again, keeping it very simple, very easy, nothing complicated about this. You don't got to overcomplicate anything. I'm going to keep saying it. It's a very simple thing to do. Again, let's move on here now. So now we have my results breakdown. So I gained about 50 to 60 pounds in a 3 to 4 year span. Obviously, there was a good amount of fat in there as well, but there was a lot of muscle built as well during that span. So again, I gained about 50 to 60 pounds. My bench went from 90 pounds for one, which is, again, incredibly weak, to around 315 pounds where I'm currently at today. My squat went from around 135 pounds to around 455 pounds. Again, huge difference, huge strength gain. And then deadlift went from around 185 to around 500 pounds. And I haven't deadlifted in a while, so again, that number's been kind of the same for a bit. But again, just the compounds, trying to push that weight up, trying to continue getting stronger over time is going to be the biggest thing, and getting your numbers up, and then adding the accessories in there for triceps, push downs, other stuff. So that's going to be huge there. So kind of the result of that, my confidence shot up, through the roof, and in my everyday life, my discipline kind of followed through other ventures, and kind of saw my purpose there. So it was a little bit easier to do all those things there as far as being disciplined with the workout and working out and getting to those points. And guys, this didn't take a week. This didn't take 2 weeks. This didn't take a month. This didn't take 3 months. It took years, right? So obviously you can see your results within the first 2 to 3 months of working out, but this is going to take a long time. This isn't something that happens overnight. This takes dedication, hard work, and discipline. And especially if you're a natural, it takes a lot longer too. Because if you're enhanced, things just come a little bit quicker because of the enhancement part. But again, make sure you're staying natural, you're staying consistent, and you're doing your every day-to-day activities, and you're staying consistent with them. That's gonna be the biggest thing. That's going to get you where you want to be. It's just never giving up, right? It's as simple as that, and that's really the best investment going to give you for that, and just showing up every day. So let's kind of move forward here as well. And then here's how you can do it too, really, right? So biggest thing, like I said, just training, diet, and your mindset, your mentality, and then just focusing on sustainable progress. Not trends. You're slowly getting, stronger over time. You're getting weight over time. You're losing weight over time. Whatever the case may be, etc. And just start with what you can control, and not what you can't control. So whatever job you have, if you can only work out 3 times a week, well, you can only work out 3 times a week. It is what it is. But you're at least putting in some work, right? And you will see progress. Just work around whatever you can control and work around that and do as best as you can to do it. And you just need a system as well that works for you. Again, like I said, everyone's got different lives, everyone's got different jobs, everyone's in a different place in their life. So figure out a system and schedule that works for you, and that's going to be the best for your progress. Another thing is make sure you're setting 2 to 3 month goals for your progress. Make sure that needle is actually moving forward versus not doing anything and staying stagnant. Because there's no point of if you're working out and you're not changing at all and you don't have any progress goals, it's kind of hard to keep yourself accountable for those things then. So making sure you're setting small goals, 2 to 3 month goals for your progress there. Another thing I always recommend as well, make sure you're taking progress photos. Very, very important, right? Make sure you take your first photo, first day before you even start working out, 1 month photo, 2 month photo, 3 month photo, 4 month photo, etc. Keep taking photos every single month because you're gonna look back at those pictures and be like, wow, this progress is actually insane. Like, my life has changed so much over these past few months, and because sometimes it's pretty hard to see progress day to day, and you see yourself in the mirror every day and whatnot. So it's easier to see on those progress pictures when you're taking them, spread out like that. So I would really recommend taking those progress photos and focusing in on that. So that's gonna be a huge thing for you. So, and it's gonna be very nice to see that as well. Now, guys, if you want my help, or if you've gone through this whole video right now so far and you've said to yourself I still feel like I need more help or guidance, or I want someone that's already been through my shoes to kind of help me out and get there a little bit quicker. Well, you can apply for my coaching, and we can build the best you for you. We do a custom one-on-one plan and for your goals in your body. Weekly check-ins, tailored workouts, full nutrition plan, all of that. And kind of learn everything I wish I knew before, and have all that information disposable right now. So if that sounds like something that you are still interested in or you want to do, then you can actually go ahead and apply for the one-on-one coaching in the LinkedIn calendar down below. Go ahead and pick a time. We'll have a little consultation call and see if I can actually help you and if we're a good fit. And if we are, then we can go ahead and work together. But obviously, guys, all the information I already just gave you just now is going to be enough to give you the dream physique of your life, anything you want. This is kind of for people that want to get there maybe a little bit quicker or want to have a little bit more accountability. This is going to be something for you here. So go ahead and apply down below, and I'll see you on the other side as far as that goes. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching, though. That kind of concludes the video. If I'm talking a little fast, you can slow the video down as well. I'm a fairly fast talker. But drop a comment if you have any other questions. I can go ahead and answer them down below. Again, like and subscribe if this helped you out in any shape or form. And go ahead and share to a friend that's on the same journey as you are. And I just want to say, I believe in you guys. You have this. You have what it takes to do it. Just stay consistent. Just keep showing up every day, and you'll get what you want to get to. So, again, God bless. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.